Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into some really interesting stuff with steam engineering and a company called Thornen Engineering Company Limited. We're going to figure out what makes them stand out, how they've become the go-to for so many, from your everyday steam user to those massive engineering firms.
You know, it's wild how much we depend on steam without even thinking about the systems behind it. But Thornen, they seem to be bridging that gap. Their approach is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and they're based in New Taipei City, but their work reaches far beyond.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this. What is it about Thornen Engineering that sets them apart?
Well, it seems like they're not just trying to sell you a product, you know? They want to be seen as partners, problem solvers. Their website actually talks about that directly. They address all kinds of different clients. Steam users, those who make the equipment, engineering firms, even design companies, and they actually speak to each of their specific needs. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
So it's all about tailored solutions. That makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Like a steam system and a hospital is going to have very different needs than, say, a manufacturing plant.
Exactly. They get that and they highlight it. For instance, they really emphasize how vital steam quality is for the everyday user, like making sure it's efficient and dependable. But then when they're talking to those equipment manufacturers, they shift gears and focus on providing those top-notch, cost-effective components that will actually fit seamlessly into the systems they already have.
So they speak different steam languages, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. You got it.
That must be where these partnerships with these big international manufacturers come in.
Right on. They've teamed up with some heavy hitters, like Forbes Marshall, for example. They've been a major player in the Indian boiler market since way back in 1926 and hold a 70% share. Can you believe that? What's impressive is they've got this history of innovation. Like they actually developed this super energy efficient boiler design using fluidized bed combustion technology. It's pretty cutting edge.
Wow, 70%. They must be doing something right. And now they're working with Thornen to expand even further. But it's not just about those big names, right? Thornen also collaborates with Valsteam ADCA, which is a Portuguese company that specializes in a wide variety of valves. What's the story there?
Valsteam ADCA, they're known for being super flexible and responsive to very specific needs, especially because they've got this really diverse range of valves. One that stands out, for example, is their globe valve, which is designed for precise steam flow control, which is super important in industries where temperature has to be just right, like food processing or pharmaceuticals.
They bring that adaptability to make sure everything works perfectly, even in these really specialized settings. It sounds like Thornen very deliberately chose their partners so they could cover just about any need. But it goes beyond just the products, doesn't it?
You're absolutely right. They actually position themselves as consultants, too. So they'll work with engineering and design firms to help them plan and execute even the most complex steam systems. So you can almost think of them as an extension of their team because they're guiding everything from the initial design and component selection to something that often gets overlooked, which is the commissioning phase, where they make sure that the entire system is installed and tested properly and ready to go without a hitch.
Wow, so they really are involved every step of the way. It's like you said before, that invisible subcontractor idea really shows just how deeply they understand these steam ecosystems. They're not just making a sale, they're solving problems. And they're not afraid to share what they know either. They've got this whole section on their website dedicated to application and experience sharing. What's that all about?
Now, that's where things get really interesting. So instead of just keeping all that knowledge to themselves, they openly share case studies, technical articles, they even do webinars to educate their clients and the wider industry. For example, there's this recent case study on how they helped a manufacturing plant significantly cut down on energy use and cost simply by optimizing their steam trap system. It's this openness that not only builds trust, but it positions them as the experts, the thought leaders.
They're saying, look, we're not just trying to sell you something. We genuinely want to see you succeed. And you don't see that too often. It's a really refreshing approach, honestly. And they take it a step further, too, with how committed they are to customer satisfaction.
I know, right? They make a point of emphasizing how dedicated their team is to creating a work environment that's actually positive and supportive, because they truly believe that a happy, passionate team will ultimately lead to happy clients. So again, it's not just about being technically skilled, it's about genuinely wanting to help their clients thrive. It really is that combination of being technically strong, but also having that customer-first mindset that makes them different. They seem to get that steam is everywhere in a business, and they're ready to jump in and tackle those issues head-on.
So less about pushing products, more about solutions. Let's get specific. You mentioned they work with everyone, from people actually using the steam to the manufacturers, the engineers, even design companies. How do their services actually work for each of those groups?
Okay, so picture this. You're at a food processing plant, right? They rely on steam for everything, cooking, sterilizing. Thornen comes in and makes sure those existing systems are top-notch, that the steam quality is perfect because that's what keeps the food safe and up to their standards. And they even handle things like, what's it called? Water hammer.
Water hammer.
Yeah, it's the sudden pressure surge that can happen when the steam condenses too quickly, and it can really mess up pipes and equipment.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. Not good. So they're like steam system doctors coming in to diagnose those hidden problems that could cause major headaches down the line.
That's a great way to put it. Now think about the equipment manufacturers. Let's say a company designs industrial ovens. Born steps in and helps them find and install the right steam components. This is where that partnership with Valstein ADCA comes in, with their massive selection of valves. For example, a butterfly valve from Valstein ADCA would be ideal for applications where you need a really quick shutoff or flow control in these large diameter pipes, so perfect for those industrial ovens.
It's like they're playing matchmaker, finding the perfect valve for the job. No more forcing things to fit where they shouldn't. This must make life a whole lot easier for these equipment manufacturers. What about those big picture folks, though? The engineering and design firms. Those teams are building entire steam systems from scratch, aren't they?
Absolutely. And for them, Thornen becomes this specialized consultant, guiding them through all the complexities of designing these systems. So they're involved in choosing those components that are both efficient and cost-effective, making sure everything works together seamlessly. And they don't just disappear once the plans are drawn. They're there for the entire installation process, making sure it's all installed correctly, thoroughly tested, and performing at its peak from day one.
They're not just consultants. They're partners for the entire life cycle of the system. You can tell they're invested in their client's success, not just closing a deal and moving on. This whole problem-solving aspect is really fascinating. You mentioned their application and experience sharing section earlier. Do you have an example of how they use that to really help their clients?
Oh, absolutely. There's this one case study that comes to mind. It involved a pharmaceutical company, and they were having a really hard time with inconsistent steam quality in their autoclaves. Those are the machines they use to sterilize everything.
Oh, right. That's mission critical in a pharmaceutical setting.
Exactly. Can't mess around with that. Anyway, Thornen came in and they figured out that the issue was actually the condensate recovery system. It was poorly designed, which led to temperature swings and could have even contaminated their products.
Wow, so the problem wasn't even the equipment itself, it was the whole process in finding the root cause.
Exactly. So what they did was redesign the entire condensate system. They put in a solution that not only fixed the steam quality, but also cut down on how much energy and water they were using. So the company saved money, and their products were safe. Win-win. But here's the cool part. They didn't keep it a secret. They actually shared that whole case study on their website so that other companies who might be having the same problem can learn from it.
That's amazing. They're not just fixing problems, they're giving away the knowledge so that others can avoid those same headaches. Talk about transparency and building lasting relationships.
Absolutely. And that commitment extends to their team too. They really emphasize making a work environment that is supportive and positive, where their employees feel valued and empowered. It makes sense they know that a passionate, dedicated team is what leads to truly exceptional results for the clients.
Happier employees, happier customers, it's all connected. They definitely seem to have their finger on the pulse of the steam engineering world. With all their experience in these global partnerships, what do you think they see as the future of steam?
Well, it seems like they're gearing up for a future where steam systems are, well, smarter. Think like AI-powered monitoring and maintenance that can actually predict problems before they even happen.
So instead of just reacting to breakdowns, we're talking about systems that practically run themselves.
Yeah.
That sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
I know, right? But it's getting closer all the time with things like the Internet of Things, all that data. Imagine sensors everywhere in a steam system, constantly gathering information, the pressure, temperature, flow rates, even the tiniest adjustments to a valve. And all that data going into this AI system that can analyze it, find those hidden patterns, predict when something might fail, and even tweak the system in real time to keep everything running at peak performance.
Now, that is incredible. It would be huge for so many industries. No more unexpected shutdowns, less wasted energy. It's all about safety, too. Talk about a game changer. But, with all this talk about the future of steam, it's easy to forget those little things, the components you don't even see. Like you mentioned steam trap auditing before. Tell me more about that. Why are these traps so important?
You're totally right. Those small details can make all the difference. Think of steam traps like little gatekeepers for the system. They separate the steam we want from the condensate, the water that forms as steam cools down. That condensate can cause problems if it's not removed properly, reduces efficiency, can even damage the equipment.
So those little traps are crucial for keeping things running smoothly.
Yeah.
But how do you even know if they're working right?
That's where that steam trap auditing comes in. Thornen, they use some pretty cool tech for this, like ultrasonic leak detectors, even thermal imaging cameras to find any faulty traps or leaks in the system. It's like a full checkup for your steam system, making sure everything is in tip-top shape.
Like steam detectives with high-tech gadgets.
Yeah.
It's amazing how even something as small as a leaky steam trap can have such a big impact on the bottom line.
Oh, absolutely. Even a small leak can waste a ton of energy, and that costs money, reduces how efficient the whole system is. But by finding and fixing or replacing those faulty traps, companies can save money, they're helping the environment, and they're making sure their equipment lasts as long as possible.
It's a good reminder that even in a world that's all about the newest technology, those basic principles of efficiency and taking care of what you have, those still matter. Thorne seems to get that balance, blending the old school engineering know-how with that forward-thinking approach to innovation and working with their clients as partners.
Absolutely. And that's what makes them so fascinating to look at. They're not just keeping the steam flowing, they're shaping how we think about steam engineering as a whole.
I had no idea there was so much to learn about steam engineering. What I thought was pretty straightforward turned out to be this whole world of complexity, innovation, a lot of expertise involved. It's clear that companies like Thornen are the ones keeping things moving, literally, in so many industries.
Couldn't have said it better myself. They're the unsung heroes, making sure everything runs smoothly, from hospitals to factories. It's amazing when you think about it.
We hope you, our listener, have learned something new about the world of steam engineering and the important role companies like Thorne play in our lives.
It's amazing what you can discover when you really dive into the things we usually take for granted.
Until next time, keep those minds curious.